Hi, it's Hillary Potts, bringing you leadership strategies for you to bring your best to any business situation. I've authored a book, The Truth About Change, and it's a guide to help leaders successfully execute strategic initiatives. You can order a copy on Amazon.com. Also, check out my website, hillarypotts.com, for helpful leadership strategies and resources. In today's short segment, we will discuss how to move conversations and decisions along with a group of colleagues when you don't have direct authority to make the decision and you need your teammates to work with you on the ultimate outcome. Influencing is a critical skill in today's environment where we must work with many people to do our jobs. Have you ever experienced working with a group and it seemed like nothing was getting accomplished? If only you could assert yourself in ways to shape the discussion to a workable solution. How can you win the support of others and get others to take action? How do you ensure that decisions are made that are right for the situation and lead to a win-win outcome? Let's take an example. Sally, who reports to the divisional president, was asked to pull together a cross-functional, cross-regional team to create a global strategy for the division. Currently, each region was accountable for their own business strategy with varying degrees of success. Sally was excited to take the lead to work with her colleagues. Unfortunately, she quickly ran into trouble. The first meeting didn't go so well. Leaders had different opinions. Some had no interest in a global strategy, and they thought that this would inhibit their regional growth. Sally was used to directing work and making decisions for her area. She was very comfortable telling her team what to do. This wasn't going to work with this group. In the last meeting, she laid out a strategic process, and the group couldn't even come to a decision on the approach. If this was an indicator of what was going to happen to develop the strategy, they would never get anywhere. Second, what seemed like a very simple task was proving to be complicated. Each region had their own approach, and they were finding it hard to come up with any synergies or common themes. They all agreed that their customers, they needed to build some consistency, but to make those significant changes in each of their regions was almost a non-starter. One of her colleagues asked if she could share her observations from the last meeting. Sally said, "Sure, I could use any help." Her colleague said, "Sally, I'm not sure you are taking the time to listen to others. I know that you feel the sense of urgency to get something accomplished, but it seems like you're pushing your agenda on the team and it just isn't working." Sally said, I am frustrated, as I'm sure others are. The boss wants us to develop this global strategy. I can't understand why it's so difficult. We seem to be talking around and around the topic and getting nowhere. Mary's checked out. John and Tom are sparring about whose approach is better, and I'm not sure if I can really influence and guide these discussions. Sally's colleague said, "You need to find a way to enroll and engage the entire group in a conversation and the solution. You'll want to do less directing and more influencing and persuading." Let me share a couple simple steps that I think might help you guide these conversations. First, get everyone on the same page by assessing the situation. Agree on what you are trying to solve, why it's important, and what does success look like. In Sally's case, the region saw the global strategy as taking away their authority. Sally asked the team to share their current strategies, including what was working in the region and the challenges they were facing. By giving everyone a chance to share what they were doing and how things were working, the group settled into the discussions. Then, as a group, they began working on the current situation, and it became a very natural discussion around the similarities and differences across the regions. Communicate with clarity. Get clear about what you're trying to accomplish, what's within this scope and outside the scope of the discussions. Give people clarity about what you're trying to solve. While Sally thought she had covered this in the initial kickoff meeting, she was realizing that people needed time to think about and process the idea and the direction of a global strategy. She had assumed that everyone was clear and understanding about why they were creating this strategy. She had assumed people were in agreement, and so she charged ahead. She asked her boss to join the next meeting to discuss the purpose and scope of the work. At the end of the meeting, people were all clear on the next steps. As Sally reflected on the conversations, she realized the team wasn't always thinking about the issues in the same way. Many were worried about the impact to the customers and their team. Some members were defensive about making so many changes at this time. One team member kept stressing that they needed to make decisions based on facts and data and not intuition and hope. Another kept drawing the group back to the process. Sally wasn't sure how she could influence and guide the discussion when the team was so all over the place. But Sally's colleague had another suggestion: to facilitate the conversations covering the various viewpoints. So Sally began to see her roles more as an orchestrator of the discussions, as someone who influences and guides the conversation versus pushing a specific agenda. By acting as the facilitator, this meant appealing to the different approaches, and here's how she handled that. While some wanted a free-flowing conversation, it became clear that the group really needed to adhere to some sort of structure and process to keep things moving ahead. So Sally worked with the team to lay out a simple 5-step process to create the strategy. She also built into the process some time for free-flowing conversation. Sally also needed to make sure that they were working with facts and using the data from the regions to guide the discussions into a logical format. They brought in subject matter experts to provide insights about specific areas and their customers. They spoke with leaders across regions to determine how easy or hard it would be to implement the solutions. They assessed the impact the changes would have to the business, customers, and organization. People were starting to have fun as they were expanding the dialogue. Not all conversations went smoothly. As differences of opinions surfaced, Sally made a point of making sure she listened and helped other people listen and make each other's thinking visible, and making sure the group surfaced and handled the objections. While people were initially uncomfortable sharing their opinions, Sally would help the group listen, clarify the questions, to guide people through a resolution and workable actions. Over the course of the next few weeks, the team started to make progress. One of the team members thanked Sally for helping everyone around the table participate. She was starting to feel a lot more comfortable in this role. She had no idea how much fun it could be to actually guide and influence a strategic discussion. With every topic, Sally made sure that the group laid out what they were trying to accomplish and the steps to get there. She would check in with team members to make sure that their needs were being met. And in the rare instances that people weren't engaged, she would have conversations with them to find out what was going on. Sally was amazed at how far the group came with just a few simple adjustments in her approach. She shed the need to take the lead and direct the conversation and moved more into an influencing mode of shaping the discussions. By working to influence and persuade her colleagues, she made sure that people had the right information, they laid out a plan, and they removed the obstacles. If you're looking for more ideas, download the Leader Change Toolkit now. It's at www.hillarypotts.com/resources.html. Inside the toolkit, you'll find ways to prepare to lead a strategic change, 5 ways to leading change, and a change leader behaviors for you to lead your next strategic initiative. For more information, check out my books, The Executive Transition Playbook and The Truth About Change. The Executive Transition Playbook provides a step-by-step process to make the most of your first 100 days in a new role. Both books are available on Amazon.com. Also visit my website at hillarypotts.com for more resources, tips, tools, and blogs and podcasts. Until the next time, continue to bring your best to leading yourself and others. Bye for now.